MOL Talks.
Where will we get our energy from in future? What will we be putting in our cars at filling stations? How will waste be turned into valuable raw materials? What does MOL have in mind when it comes to the circular economy, sustainability and supply security? In our podcast, we talk to MOL experts about the topics that define our everyday lives and will have major roles to play in our future. MOL Talks. Everything you need to know about energy, explained clearly and simply.
MOL Talks.
Hello and welcome to the MOL Talks podcast. This is Ambrus Halász speaking, and my guest today is Gabriel Szabó, Executive Vice President of MOL Group Downstream Division, with whom I will discuss the main objectives of Tomorrow Downstream program. Let me quickly sum it up. MOL Group recently announced this very comprehensive program that aims to make the entire company future-proof, resilient, and sustainable. We are going to discuss all the details of this wonderful initiative, and of course we will address some challenges of the energy industry, and we can even talk about the future of the refineries. But we will certainly start with Tomorrow Downstream program, or as we call it, the TODO program. Please, Gabriel, introduce the main objectives of this program.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thank you, Ambrus, for having me here today. Yeah, so your question is that what is the Tomorrow Downstream about? And as you properly mentioned, it's about our future. So this is why we call it tomorrow, because tomorrow is not today. It's not about the present, but rather how we will operate and how we will function in the future. So we have the tomorrow there. And downstream term is there because we believe that downstream is going to be for a long-term perspective, from the long-term perspective there. So the program is about the future, about our future, how to get future-proof. And how to get future-proof, I believe that we have to get more resilient. So my reading is that to be resilient, there are two things needed. You have to be strong in the first hand. So, and in financial terms, you have to have a strong balance sheet. You have to have a sustainable delivery of your profit. You have to deliver the return on the investment. So for the shareholders, the return on their shares. On the other side, this is the first one, so to be strong, and the other that you have to have the capability to adjust for the changing circumstances, for the changing environment. And this is the second pillar. So for this reason, we do not speak about the efficiency program only. So it's about how to get stronger. But my idea and my wish is that it goes beyond this efficiency and it goes towards the resilience, where you have to be agile enough, where you have to adjust to the changing environment.
Can we even talk about transformation here?
Yeah, definitely it's a kind of transformation. The only problem with the transformation in this respect is that it can't be measured so easily. So many people imagine that once you transform, and mainly in terms of the energy transformation or transition as it's called, that from one energy source, you change to an alternative or another energy source. So in terms of this, I think that the downstream will process crude oil in the long term as it is processing now, probably with a different feed. So not just one grade, but several grades. There will be also a feed from the circular economy, for example. And there will be a lot of different businesses within downstream. So in terms of this, yeah, it's going to be a transformation, but mainly this part of resilience and this adjusting will do the transformation from my point of view.
And what are the main financial objectives of TODO?
Yeah, so this is 500 million, which we would like to deliver to the base 2024. So after the year 2027, we should be able to show to all the stakeholders, internal, external, that we were able to deliver minimum 500 million. But for me, not the figure is important. For me, the importance of the whole program is that how we will achieve it, the way how we'll do the things. And from my perspective, the ability to adjust, this is the most important. In case I would support it to the nature, for example, to the fauna or flora, so how the plant or an animal is trying to avoid to be a prey towards the predator, so they are trying to adjust to the environment. And also the predator is trying to adjust to the environment to get to the prey easily. And this is for me what we have to learn more. So we should not do the things as we did it in the last 40 years. COVID learned us that we can change our routines. The war learned us that we can change our routines. But still, in many respects, we are following the pattern we are used to. And my wish is, and this wish goes to all the organization, to all the people, that try to think over what we can do differently as we are doing today. Because I can promise that there will be a lot of changes in the external environment. We know that they are coming, and the problem is that those will happen also without our interest or without our trigger. So whether we want them or not, they will happen, and we have to adjust. We have two big learnings. We were successful there, but to be future-proof, as you called it, we have to be more agile in this respect.
Do you want to see downstream division as the predator of MOL Group?
Probably it's too harsh, and politically it's not correct. I would not call downstream predator. But definitely we have our assertive goals, let's call it like this, what we would like to achieve towards the competition, towards the consumers, how to lock them in, how to keep our market shares, how to ensure that there is a return in terms of dividends to our shareholders. But on the other side, there is a risk that from the, let's say, predator, you can get easily a prey. Yeah, so I believe that the same assertive approach could be seen in the strategic view of our competitors. So probably predator is too harsh, but definitely this is, I would not call it a jungle because there are some regulations, but at the end of the day, it's a part of jungle in the bigger zoo, yeah?
Okay, let's talk about the external circumstances and the challenges. We all know that the war has been going on for more than 3 years, while the EU keeps calling for, or rather demanding for, an accelerated green energy transition. These are challenges, especially for the downstream division. Why did you launch this program now, after 3 years of facing such challenges?
Good question. Very good question.
What is your answer?
Because I believe, I was thinking about whether to launch the program now or we should wait another 1-2 years and to launch it there. But for me, it would be responsible to wait. So we have to do the things while we can afford them. And of course that it will cut back from our comfort because we have to change and the program will force this change. On the other side, to wait till we see that the change of external environment is hurting us badly, it would be rather too late. So it would be a fire on the roof. It would be too late. So this is the answer to the second part of your question. Regarding the first part, and it's a very good observation that Europe believes that the energy transition will help Europe as such. And the logic behind is that, look, with the green energy, we saw on the first place the security of supply question. So we won't be dependent on the fossil fuel, natural gas or crude oil from the others. The energy, green energy, will boost the sustainability, which is the first, and I believe in many respects, it seems like the ultimate goal of the Brussels politics. so to be sustainable. So with that, you kill already to your base, or you support to your basic political interest there. And the third is that it will boost the economy. So with that, we build up a new economy. So there will be a heavy digitalization and support of this part of the economy. There will be a support towards the industry that they will build up, the hydrogen value chain, the electrification, the solar panels, windmills, and so on and so forth. So it seems like a perfect story for a doctor thesis. The problem is for me that it's rather academic approach. So how feasible it is, these are the questions. Feasible in terms of the money, what kind of money is needed for this? In terms of the priorities, so what is the first priority? And in terms of the timeline, so are those things feasible to be done within this framework which we set, or which is set in Brussels?
Academic approach, or rather a political approach?
So for a political question, we got an academic answer. On paper, it works. For a novel, it's a perfect thing. It raised the interest of everybody. It's easily understandable. It's easily sellable. The thing is that this is rather a novel, and to make it a living, practical system or process, there are many pitfalls there. And just to conclude regarding the pitfalls, we see what is the problem with the industry currently in Europe. Majors, and not just oil majors, they are closing down the factories. It seems that Europe is in the trade war. So once you go and check what the tariff is, this is a measure of the trade war. Once you go, what is a sanction means is also a thing of the trade war. So there is an ongoing trade war, I would call it like this. And in the middle of it, we are trying to solve it with the approach I mentioned, where I miss the feasibility there. And I would not say that the direction is bad. I have problems with the timeline. I have problems with the constructability of this whole setup. So these are my objections, which I communicate clearly. What is the pace we take, whether those goals we set are feasible or not. And not speaking, once we speak about the crude oil business and the energy transition, what are those projects which are economic viable?
You just mentioned some recent challenges like the trade war, but have you recognized any sign of sobering up in terms of competitiveness?
Yes, definitely. So there is a change there. I was in Antwerp when the Madam President of the European Commission announced the clean energy deal. And definitely one of the major issue currently is the competitiveness. So because of the competitiveness, I mentioned that several shops are closed down. Several industries, they think rather to invest in US or in other continents. So there is a shift there, because losing the industry, which is in all of the economies, this is the major pillar of the economy, of the GDP growth there. So they realize that losing jobs is not good. Having people on the street is not good. So it's not good for politics either.
Not at all. But let's back to the topic, the original topic, Tomorrow Downstream program. I have a feeling that MOL Group keeps announcing huge, comprehensive programs and strategies, because 1.5 just a year and a half ago, we announced another strategy update of Shape Tomorrow strategy. So how does this Tomorrow Downstream program relate to the group level strategy?
So it's absolutely an integral part. This should be a help how to achieve those targets we set in the strategy. So there is no change in the strategy. Actually, we took a closer look to our strategy, whether because of the external changes, whether we have to revisit it. And we always came to the same conclusion that there is no need to revisit our strategy. It's still valid. The goals are still valid there. So how we can get there, this is the Tomorrow Downstream. This is our TODO program.
But also, this is not the first time when Downstream division has announced a resilience or transformation program. Why is this Tomorrow Downstream different from any previous ones?
I would not say it's... we can compare those, definitely. And I was there when the first efficiency program was born. Then we had the second, then we had the third. Now I call it a resilience program. I don't want to call it an efficiency program because this is not about cost cutting in the first place. This is changing the mindset, how we do the things differently. This is what I'm demanding from my team. So this is a bit different to those. Definitely, there is a promise to the shareholders, to the stakeholders that we deliver this 500 million. Still, the numbers are the easiest way how to compare two things. So once you would like to compare two things, even in performance, you are using numbers. So this number of 500 million will help us to understand properly where we are. But for me, not the 500 million is the most important. So I would aim even to the higher number, but how we do the things, this is the in the first place. In terms of the transformation, I think that those downstream programs which we did in the past, they were not about transformation in the first place. There were other initiatives about the transformation. And when I look back, and I would list 3, 4. So the first about the transformation, and not in the priorities or importance. The first which came to my mind is the culture, when we start the culture program. So I believe this was a transformational program. Thanks to this, we have even the podcast today. Thanks to this, we have town halls. Thanks to this, the people are not worried to ask questions. And we are answering them. So we changed significantly, I believe, in the last 10 years. We do not speak about it. We do not have posters, but still it stayed with us. It shifted the whole mindset in MOL Group significantly. In downstream, definitely. And I see it all around. The second, for me, the transformation was the fresh corners concept, which I did not trust at the very beginning. So when the program was started, it was part of the retail at the time, was part of the downstream. And frankly, I built a heavy opposition towards the fresh corner. I said that, look guys, people are not interested in buying coffee at the service station. This is still a fuel station, full stop. And then Ferry persuaded me at that time, Lars persuaded me, Oscar persuaded me. So that this is the right thing to do. And I was heavily fighting against. And now I have to admit that I was wrong. So one of the major in my CV, when I would list that what was the wrong decision I did, and it was not my decision at the end of the day, but what was the wrong idea and a wrong evaluation of this business case, this I would list as a first one. And I don't want to hide it. And it proved to be a successful story. So this is about the transformation. And the third one, where we still do not see benefits, this is the Mohu story. So with this one, we opened absolutely a new sector. There are a lot of tricks and pitfalls there, so it's, from my perspective, a semi-regulated story. But in the long run, I believe that it will boost further the transformation process within the MOL Group.
All right. You mentioned the cultural changes, but let's talk about the people more. And let's talk about how Tomorrow Downstream will impact the organization and the people of Downstream.
My wish is that it will impact everybody in the system. It's a bit naive, but this would be my wish, that it will impact everybody working on the shop floor.
In other divisions as well?
Yes, definitely. So there will be a demand on our side towards the other divisions as well, as they are demanding from us certain level of service or product or quality or quantity. We will do the same towards them. So I wish it will affect everybody. Leaders, definitely. I even have the first proposal how to incorporate to our bonus system there. So to feel, as I said, measuring the numbers, it's a good thing, which helps things comparing and seeing what is the progress there. So leaders definitely, and I hope that it will go down to the shop floors.
Okay, besides the KPIs that you set up for your leaders and besides the bonus, how will you motivate other colleagues of Downstream Division in order to deliver all the objectives of Tomorrow Downstream program?
Yeah, first of all, I believe we have to invest more to the explanation. Why are we doing it? So there was a kickoff there. We tried to explain what I got the feedback that for some of our colleagues, it's still not fully clear. The same translation came back that this is the third, fourth, fifth program in the row. Very same. We are checking the cost. We will fire people and so on and so forth. So this we have to explain why is now the proper timing, as you ask, and why this goal is to be achieved. So in that we have to invest more, and not just from my side, but from the side of the whole leadership of Downstream.
Do you have a personal KPI?
Personal KPI, yeah. Those 500 million, I believe, is my personal KPI.
That sounds like a KPI. Okay, I accept it as a KPI. Let's talk about the future and about your vision as Downstream leader. What do you think, how or what MOL will be like in 20 years, and how will the refineries look like in 20 years?
So I think that there will be refineries. I would not say right now how many. So I do not want to sell an empty promise that we keep the portfolio as it is today. So I can easily imagine that we'll be forced to cut back.
Because it can be even bigger.
Yes, it can be on the one side even bigger once we see an opportunity, and definitely we'll go for it.
Are you still seeking for opportunities?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And it somehow answered the question that how we'll look like and what we are going to produce and process. So we will be still in the oil business. So I think in 20 years, we are going to be in oil business. But not this one will be the only business we are having. I think that there will be much more businesses will be forced to open up. The crude will do not play as dominant role as it plays today. And it goes in hand that once it doesn't play such a dominant role, then are we going to have 3, 4, 2, 1 refineries? I can't answer this question. And I see that there will be changes in our asset portfolio.
Speaking of crude, can we briefly talk about the status of the crude diversification? Because how will the crude portfolio or the crude purchasing portfolio will look like in 4 years? What do you think? Given the ongoing European decision-making procedure and the deadline that was set up by the EU commissioner being responsible for the energy industry. Are we on schedule in terms of crude diversification?
I'm just trying to think over how should I answer your question. So probably I would look at it from the broader perspective. So what will be the crude setup in 4 years? It heavily depends what will be the external environment. We cannot afford not processing crude because then we are putting the whole energy supply of the region at risk. So this is the first answer. That look guys, whatever the situation will be, we have to do our best to ensure the supply of fuels to the region. This is the first. The other is what will be the conditions? We will adapt ourselves. And the third one, this goes back to our saying that what we say that we need at least 2 logistical routes. In terms of this, it was 2 or 3 weeks ago when it proved to be right, when we see what is happening with the Azeri crude loaded in Ceyhan, is in Turkey, in Ceyhan port, that this logistics assets or capacities in Ceyhan are contaminated. So just imagine that one of those routes towards Rijeka, Százhalombatta, Bratislava, whatever refinery is contaminated. How we'll deal with this one? We can't process a contaminated crude. There is a time needed to blend it, to dilute it. So it's a lengthy process. And we saw it back when it was back, I believe, in 2019 in Russia. So definitely we need alternatives. In terms of the diversification, we are progressing as planned. There are a lot of engineers working on this. I believe they are doing a good job there. We tried several crudes. I believe we are at 14 right now. So we have a fair experience. I do not think that we should go about 16 or 20. No need. So we tried what is available at the market. We know how to blend those, what is the availability of the crude, what are the conditions, how we can get to the source. So I believe that in the last 3 years, we gather a fair experience and expertise there. In case there is a sudden interruption of the Druzhba pipeline, there we have a SOP in place, so standard operating procedure. As you are watching the movies in the U-boat, something wrong happens and everybody knows what to do. I think we are at a similar level of this readiness. So button is pushed and we then know what has to be done. The problem is that it's not the U-boat in the middle of the ocean. This is a refinery in the middle of the continent. And at the end of the alternative tube, there is also some SOP needed. And we are not fully comfortable with the SOP there. We are not fully comfortable with the situation that, okay, suddenly we need a tanker every second day. Is the tanker going to be available? What kind of grades are going to be there? How we will trigger the strategic reserve for the time span to deliver the first emergency crude to our system. So there are some loose ends there, but I think as MOL Group we are ready for the situation.
You often say that crude diversification also requires reliable partners. That is why you just signed a cooperation framework agreement with Kazmunaigaz?
Yes, with Kazmunaigaz we have a good relationship in terms of the upstream. Of course, that there was a valid inquiry whether we can broaden this cooperation, and we are discussing several fields of future cooperation there, and one of them is the potential supply of Kazakhstani crude to our system.
And I assume that we have further reliable partners in terms of crude purchasing. Then what is the biggest bottleneck of the Adria pipeline? What should we do in order to make it fully fledged and reliable supply route?
There are two parts there. So first is the capability of the pipe to deliver, of the system. I would not call it a pipe because it's system, a lot of people, hardworking people behind it, to ensure in a sustainable way, to ensure the volumes which are needed for our refineries. I think that our engineers and the engineers of our partners are having a good cooperation. So those guys do not go to politics. They would like to have the system running. And they are doing several tests. Some of the tests are successful, some of the tests are not successful. So let's cut it here. In terms of the economic part of the story, it cannot make our situation weaker. When I said that for resilience, we have to do two things: to be strong and to adjust. And in this, the first pillar is eroded. So the conditions, I believe, are beyond benchmarks and trade fairness.
Gabriel, I could ask dozens of further questions, but I think I'm going to let you keep working on delivering Tomorrow Downstream, because this is our interest to be successful in terms of delivering Tomorrow Downstream.
If I may interrupt you. So,
of course.
And probably the audience, they do not know about it, but because we were checking several names how we should call this resilience program. And then Ambrus came with Tomorrow Downstream because it's connected with the future Tomorrow Downstream
and shape
tomorrow strategy. And I have to admit, I did not like the idea at first. Then he came with the abbreviation of TODO, which was not liked by my colleagues because TODO, it seems to be too simple. But I like it, really. Now I like it very much. As I mentioned at the very beginning, why it's good to have it like Tomorrow Downstream, what is the message behind it. And even the abbreviation of TODO, I like very much. When I got the shopping list from my wife and or what I have to do during the weekend, or now we have a summer season preparing ourselves for holiday and I got a to-do list. What should I do? I mean, it's, and everybody knows it from the households, from friends. So it's easily understandable that there is a vision, there is a clear task to be here in the future. And to do means that, guys, we have to do, there is a task there. So there are things to be done.
And the proper to-do list is always feasible. And we wanted to send a message to all the downstream
This I will
colleagues.
share with my wife, yeah.
Okay, so we wanted to send a message that this initiative is feasible, but we need everyone on board and to put all the possible efforts into delivering it. So thanks a lot once again, Gabriel, for accepting the invite. Any further comments?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this initiation. Yeah, I think it was a good talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thanks to everyone who joined and listened to us today. Please do not forget following MOL Group and MOL Talks on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Spotify, because more interesting episodes yet to come. We are going to see each other soon. Goodbye.
MOL Talks. Everything you need to know about energy, explained clearly and simply.